Hello, my dear viewers and the rest of the listeners. Welcome for this presentation in which I am speaking about creative thinking. The title of this presentation is Deviate from the Ordinary Through Creative Thinking. Deviate from the Ordinary Through Creative Thinking. My name is Meme JM, or you can simply call me EMELISWAP. So, what is creative thinking? Creative thinking is your ability to look at a problem, a situation, or an issue differently from a new angle or perspective and devise unique ways, ideas, perspectives, solutions, or approaches of solving the problem, managing the situation, or carrying out a task. It is an inventive mental process which leads to new ways of doing things and new solutions to problems. Therefore, for you to be able to think in a creative manner, you need to start by changing your ordinary perspectives about issues and situations, avoid shortcuts, and be open-minded to accommodate new ideas and opinions. This is because if you would like to discover your purpose in life, achieve your goals, enjoy what you do, and convert the problems and the challenges to become your opportunities for success, then you have no option but to become a creative thinker. In fact, a situation is normally treated as a problem when people try to solve it, but it still persists simply because the approaches that they have used before to deal with it were not successful, and thus they perceive the situation as a threat. However, if somebody can be able to think out of the box in a creative manner, he or she can conceive new and great ideas that once implemented can become the silver bullet to solving that problem once and for all. Therefore, creative thinking is a life-changing skill that can bring forth great ideas and innovations to solve the personal and world problems that seem not to be possible when taken casually. So, anytime you find yourself stuck on a problem or facing a condition or a situation that seems to challenge you, yet you do not know how to come out of it, it's the time to think and reason in a new way that can enable you to come up with a new approach to deal with the matter or solve the problem, and that way is to think creatively. This is because creativity is inspired by existence of problems. In fact, whereas individuals and organizations may feel safe and secure as they practice approaches that have been tried and tested, and thus making it a norm for everyone to fit within the set structures and the procedures, maintaining such status quo can lead to stagnation, lack of innovation, lack of motivation, and definitely lack of growth. However, if an individual or organization can embrace and create room for creative thinking, then they can be able to overturn the norm and do great exploits, because creative thinking enables an individual to be able to embrace change. It enables an individual to be empathetic to others because he or she is able to see and perceive the world from their perspective, because one is open to new ideas and perspectives. It enables one to be able to express his or her feelings freely. It enables one to become a better problem solver because he or she is able to see the situation from varied perspectives. It also enables one to become flexible in his or her approach to problems, thus creating opportunities for better solutions to solve problems. It enables one to become open to exploring alternative solutions, and thus one is not fixated in an alternative that seems not to work, thus minimizing stress. Creative thinking enables one to bring out his or her hidden talents that he or she has not discovered before. It enables one to communicate his or her ideas more clearly, thus leading to better interpersonal relationships. It enables one to develop new solutions to existing problems. It also enables one to embrace problems as great opportunities for success. It also enables one to gain satisfaction from whatever he or she does, regardless of the results gotten. It also enables one to know what works for him or her best and embrace it instead of being tied up in other people's ideas that do not seem to work for him or her. Creative thinking enables one to overcome his or her fears, take risks, and move ahead the prevailing barriers. It also enables one to positively change his or her assumptions and judgments. In addition, creative thinking enables one's thoughts to transcend limitations or problems, thus enabling him or her to cope with them and deal with them in a positive manner. Creative thinking enriches one's personal and professional life because one is able to improve his or her ways of executing tasks, thus being able to achieve any set targets with ease. Creative thinking expresses one's real self by becoming true to himself or herself. Through creative thinking, one is able to innovate in new ways, approaches, and the tools that can be utilized to attain better results. Creative thinking helps an individual to focus on self-improvement. Creative thinking also helps one to develop his or her problem-solving skills that can be applied to a wide variety of situations faster. Creative thinking helps one to discover his or her abilities, talents, and skills, as well as promoting one's learning. Creative thinking helps one to recognize patterns that may not be obvious at the start. It also helps one to view and handle problems and situations through a fresh perspective. When you are able to think creatively, you are also able to ignite your motivation and passion in whatever that you do. With creative thinking, you are able to improve in your level of confidence and self-awareness. Creative thinking helps one to be able to get motivated and thus enable an individual keep on moving or going on with the task being performed, even if it is challenging, as one is interested with seeing the results that the new idea being implemented will bring forth. It also increases one's happiness and satisfaction. Some situations or times that may trigger your application of creative thinking techniques include when you feel like you need to come up with something new that has not been tried before, when you want to change, or when a change is imminent and you want to think of scenarios that may emanate from it and what you should do. Or during situations when you are facing a serious problem or issue whose solutions are not obvious. It can also be triggered when you are engaged in disagreements about what needs to happen and no level of compromise seems to work. However, you need to avoid the following behaviors if you want to improve in your creative thinking. Number one, avoid complaining about problems, but instead focus on discovering the opportunities hidden in them. Secondly, avoid being worried about what other people will say when you try to do something differently, but just be proud of who you are and move on. Thirdly, avoid any shortcuts, when dealing with any issue, but leave your comfort zone and try new things and new approaches. Number 4, avoid limiting yourself from exploring new places, but strive to explore as many places as possible, because exploring new places, establishing new friendships, and diving into new opportunities that you have never tried before can broaden your room of inspiration. Avoid doing things always in the same way, but try new ideas without holding back, so that you can be able to unleash your creativity to flourish in what you do. Avoid focusing just on what is taken as the right thing to do, but allow yourself to change the way you think and see things, regardless of whether others will say that you are wrong or not. Avoid getting tired of learning something new, and more so, that which is outside your line of interest, but broaden your learning so as to gather a wide world of knowledge to apply in developing new ideas. Avoid the assumption that the existing limitations on doing something will always apply to you, but work your way to overcome them and free yourself in order to make things better than the way they are today. Then, in order to develop creative thinking and be able to utilize it on a daily basis, you need to be willing to try new things and undertake new assignments without the fear of failure. You need to be reading challenging content that is outside your specialization. You also need to be practicing various thinking strategies within your team. You also need to be meeting with different people regardless of their professions or industries. You need to be sharing your interests as well as listening to others' opinions. You also need to be practicing boredom as an individual so as to see what ignites your curiosity and interest. You also need to be trying something different each day, as well as asking questions about everything that pulls your interests. The following are therefore some ways or methods that you can use to improve on your creative thinking skill. Number 1, develop an inquisitive mind by asking yourself questions on how you can do things differently from the way they are being done, and what would happen if you did something in a new way, and which way would that be? This means that you can ask yourself what you can do to alter or change the situation for better. Therefore, you should always challenge yourself to think differently and perceive situations differently from the way they are normally. It is also good to question the status quo if you are not comfortable with the way some things are being done, because it is not all the established working practices that entail best practice. Number 2, always come out of your comfort zone and try to do things in a new way. Alter or always remember that every human being is unique from the other, and therefore, whereas it is okay to apply the established procedures to do something and do it in the same way severally, it's always good to try out new approaches to meet the same goals based on one's interests, knowledge, skills, among other such factors. Even if you are in charge of others, the most important concern should not really be the process towards achieving the intended objective, but it should be the outcome of the process. So, if you are, or if you, or the people you are in charge of can use any other approach, but achieve the expected outcome, then that should be the ultimate thing. So, avoid limiting yourself to doing the same thing in the same manner every day, but try new approaches. Number 3, avoid the perfection mentality by giving room for mistakes. In fact, Whereas mistakes should not be used as excuses for not trying out new and untested approaches, it is good to always remember that mistakes are a part of the ingredients towards the discovery of new and better things and procedures. For this reason, you should never fear to try out new things or taking risks by doing what you are used to do, but just because you are fearing to make mistakes or failing to achieve your goal. Always remember that even when or even what you are currently doing or using was initiated and developed by somebody else just from an idea in his or her mind. But this person took the courage and converted that idea into something tangible. By so doing, this person tried many things and many ways as he or she made mistakes until he or she came up with whatever that you have, or whatever that you are making use of, or whatever that you believe is the best at the moment. If those people feared to try something new so that they could not make mistakes, nothing would have happened by now. For this reason, never fear to try out new things or new ways of doing things so that you do not make mistakes. Always treat mistakes as learning lessons and experience to apply to do things in a much better way. In addition, even if you try and fail, try again, not to fail by retrying. And when you retry and still fail to succeed, try again until you succeed in your trials. I repeat, my dear viewers and my dear listeners, even if you try and fail, try again not to fail by retrying. And when you try and still fail to succeed, try again until you succeed in your trials. Never lose hope from being unable to achieve what you wanted, but always try new ways of approaching it based on the lessons learned after not succeeding earlier. So, always be prepared and ready to take risks, because whether you succeed in what you are trying to do or not, both are products of the process you have taken, and any of the two, whether you have failed or succeeded, will definitely be the outcome. Number 4, model yourself as a dreamer by always dreaming big and visualizing something extraordinary and working out strategies on how your dream can be realized. For this reason, always train your mind to imagine even about that which you would not like to happen, including imagining yourself doing something beyond the ordinary. So, do not concentrate in only one task or issue while doing it in the same way throughout, because it limits your power of imagination. You need to take breaks to give yourself room to imagine about what would happen if you changed an aspect of your life that you are used to. Imagine about what you would do to improve yourself or improve a certain condition, among such other imaginations. Then assess the type or kind of ideas you will arrive at from those imaginations and think about what you can do to bring them into reality. As you dive your mind into the imagination space, you will be sharpening your mind to think creatively and come up with great ideas that can become great innovations. Always dream big, think big, and you will for sure do big things. Always remind yourself that you can never achieve that which you have not dreamt about and worked it out into becoming a reality. Number 5, be setting some time each day within your schedule for creative thinking about various issues, problems, situations, and even about your personality and what you can do differently to make your life and the lives of others better. This is because through creative thinking, you can be able to come up with ideas that can convert any impossibility into a possibility, because there is nothing that is impossible to a willing and creative mind. During this period of thinking, be careful not to allow your mind to stray incoherently, but tame your thinking in a way that you are able to think about a single idea coherently by practicing to focus on cohesive ideas. It is more rewarding to think cohesively on a single idea at a time instead of thinking shallowly about many ideas within a short time. Always follow up your creative ideas with action in order to see whether they can become a reality even if they seem to be abstract. Number 6, always speak out or express your ideas clearly to those that can assist you to realize them. So, if you have come up with a new idea, do not fear to share it out with others or fear to practice it. This is because as you share that idea and practice it, you will be able to come up with new experiences about the same, which will enable you to progress in thinking further on what you can do to deal with the new experiences towards realizing your dream, which means that this will enable you to think progressively. For this reason, always express your new ideas in a clear way in order to be understood and make people get interested in having your great idea get implemented. You should thus always be able to capture others' attention with your idea by expressing it in a way that is very simple for them to understand. Therefore, never hold back or fear to share or implement an idea that has emerged from your creative thinking session. Number 7, always be receptive to people's criticisms about your ideas, but without getting discouraged. In other words, once you have shared your ideas, be ready to receive both positive and negative feedback. This is because some will discourage you, others will be impressed, others will just see you just like a mere dreamer amongst others. But all in all, remember that you are the one with the idea and that you are the one who is aware about that idea because you can see it vividly in your mind. In other words, it is not everyone that may be able to visualize your ideas. For this reason, be ready to be challenged and receive those challenges positively in order to use them in reshaping your ideas to become better. So, be ready to engage other people to question your idea, bounce your idea among such other habits, because as they do that, you will be able to improve on your original idea and make it more realistic and implementable. Number 8, avoid limiting yourself to only your own line of thinking or your own line of work or your own interest or area of interest, but explore other areas, including exploring areas that have nothing to do with your line of work or your interest. This is because as you dive yourself into areas that you are not familiar with, the experiences that you get can spark your mind and expand your scope of ideas as you think. This includes discussing and reading content that is outside your specialization or outside your choice, chatting with a stranger amongst the others. So, avoid the mentality of ignoring a talk, a discussion, or an issue just because you cannot see how it can help you or just because it does not concern you. Number 9, engage yourself in brainstorming with a colleague or a group on any topic while being open-minded without use of any technology and without any criticism on any one's or person's idea. Just dive yourself into the topic and approach it in every dimension and from every viewpoint. but just allowing all the ideas that emerge to flow freely. You can even write down your points on a piece of paper without consulting anyone and without any reference point once the topic of discussion is placed on the table, and then you speak about it during the discussion without criticizing the other people's points of view or ideas. Even if you're not familiar with the topic, just jot down any idea that comes in your mind in relation to the topic. In addition, do not be shy to speak out every idea that you have written, for you may be surprised by the positive feedback that you may receive from the others. In fact, when you think about every new area that you are not familiar with or about, you are able to dive yourself into the imagination space and emerge with great ideas. Number 10, you should also be seeking for inspirational opportunities that can trigger you into thinking about issues and how to deal with them. These inspirational activities help you to see things or situations from a new perspective, and they also provoke you to think in a creative manner. Such inspirational triggers include reading books on issues which seem to be challenging, listening to music that highlights your issues of concern, attending forums in which problems affecting people's lives are highlighted, watching a movie or listening to videos that provoke you into wanting to think on how to handle an issue once and for all, among such other sources of inspiration. Number 11 is be taking some psychological distance from whatever task that you are performing if it seems not to work. So, always remind yourself that you are a different entity from the task or the problem that you are trying to deal with. So, always separate yourself as a person from the task or the problem that you are trying to deal with so that its outcome does not affect you in any negative way. Remember that the failure to achieve what you want does not determine who you are, because you still have a life to live and great goals to achieve beyond what you are trying to achieve. So, discipline yourself to separate yourself mentally or psychologically from whatever task that is becoming a burden so that its outcome does not affect your well-being. Note that when a task does not give you the expected results, it is not you who has failed as a person, but it is the approach which is being applied that is not working. Therefore, whenever something seems not to go the way you want, do not let it affect you negatively by feeling that you are an incompetent person or a useless person. In other words, if you find out that you are trying your level best to do everything that you can do in order to realize some results from a certain task, but nothing seems to work, or you are just hitting a dead end, don't feel that you are a useless person or that you are useless in life, because that is just a single task that is challenging you, for you have accomplished many more and even tough tasks before. It is also good to take a physical break from whatever it is that you are struggling to do without success, and revisit it later when you are rejuvenated and fresh with a new idea. Do not let yourself get stressed by tying yourself into doing and redoing the same task in the same way while not achieving the intended results, because as long as you are doing the same thing in the same way, the outcome will still be the same. Similarly, if you find out that you have applied several approaches to deal with an issue, but none of those approaches seems to work, still note that that does not mean that whatever you are trying to do is impossible, but it just means that you have not applied the most appropriate approach. For this reason, just give yourself a physical break by stopping what you are trying to do. Then go and think or find out other approaches to apply, and then revisit the task while fresh, loaded with new ideas on the way forward. Therefore, when you try a certain approach to deal with an issue and you realize that that approach is not working, just pause the activity, take a psychological and physical break from doing it so that you can think of another approach to apply, and then go back and retry the activity using the new approach or idea. However, do not take a break that is unnecessarily too long, because it may make you forget even what you are trying to do before, and then you end up repeating it again in the same way. Taking a break from doing what seems not to work should be purely meant to help you relax, think of a way forward, and then embark on your work. Number 12, always reconceptualize the problem that you have been dealing with if the approach you are using is not giving you the intended results. This means that you redo or revisit the problem from its beginning if at any time you realize that there is something you might have not considered before you embarked on dealing with a situation, and that is what is giving you challenges and making you unable to accomplish the task as expected. You should never get fixated in continuing with a task for fear of wasting time or resources. This is because even if you proceed ahead with what you started, or with the same approach that you are already applying, yet it is not working, you will not achieve the expected results. For this reason, instead of worrying to lose something, just encourage yourself that you have already acquired some experience from what you have been able to do that far, then stop from proceeding with it and restart the process of looking at the problem in a new way from the beginning. Therefore, it is always good to take a step back from whatever that you are doing if it seems not to be giving you the expected results. Revisit it from the beginning, then think of other ways of going about it by viewing it through various angles, and then you start all over again. Number 13, whenever you find yourself overwhelmed by negative emotions, relook at yourself and think of the best ways of dealing with such emotions for positive gain. In other words, whenever you find yourself in a negative emotional state, remember that that is a trigger to make you apply that emotional energy in coming up with a new idea of solving the problem that has led you into such a state. Therefore, instead of just concentrating on your negative emotions and dealing too much on the cause of your emotional state, think of what you can do to utilize those emotions in coming up with a solution to the problem or a situation at hand. It is always good to use the energy generated by negative emotions in solving a problem instead of just sitting back and sitting around while fuming about it. So, if you can train yourself to tap that energy that is generated by negative emotions and direct it into solving a problem or task or doing something productive, you will not only improve in your creativity, but you will also be able to convert your negative emotions into positive outcome and productive outcomes. Number 14, it is also good to be practicing some open monitoring meditation occasionally to focus on your thoughts and experiences. This is the activity of taking a break from your daily activities, and then you spend some private time thinking about no specific idea and the experiences that you will be gaining from the session. During the session, just go to a place that has no distractions, sit in a relaxed position, then close your eyes and release your mind and let it wander wherever it wants and think of whatever crazy or abstract ideas that comes in mind on anything. Just allow your mind and your thoughts to dive into the unknown world, to allow yourself to be receptive to your thoughts and sensations without focusing on any subject area or any specific object, idea, or occurrence. While in this session, don't allow yourself to concentrate on what you are currently passing through or about your current status, but just separate yourself from that and let your mind just venture into the world of the unknown by just letting your mind take you wherever it will take you. As you repeatedly hold this kind of meditation, you are going to improve on your divergent thinking, come up with new ideas and new ways of dealing with the issues, as well as be able to improve on your health. Number 15, be taking some time off your duties or your daily routines to be free from work and disconnect yourself from that work completely. If you are employed and your job warrants you for annual leaves, never forget or fear to embrace them and go for them. This is because when you keep yourself away from your place of work or take an off, just relax without doing anything in relation to what you are used to, and especially by allowing yourself time to be free, you are able to create room for creative thinking. This is because when you are idle and bored, you are able to get the time to process your experiences, regenerate, and think about various issues to do with your life, such as alternative ways of keeping you busy when not at work. What would happen if you were to lose your current job, among such other issues? These kind of thoughts can definitely trigger your mind to think of other alternatives and other ways of doing your work. However, if you just keep yourself busy by working all the time without taking some time off and without taking your annual leaves, you will just feel productive but lack creativity and innovation that is key for good life in case of worst case scenarios. In fact, it is when you are idle and bored from being free from work that you are able to think about new ways of keeping yourself busy and new approaches to issues. For this reason, always break from the norm by taking time to be off from work and even go for a vacation to just relax and rethink your life. Number 16, be engaging yourself in physical exercises and practices to enhance your creativity and creative thinking. This is because as you engage in physical activities such as participating in a sport, practicing a dance move, practicing how to play an instrument, and such other activities, you are not only able to improve your memory, but you are also able to gain new ideas that you can also transfer to other areas, thus improving your creativity. In fact, through physical exercises, all the body systems are able to work harmoniously, thus enabling you to relax, be relieved from stress, and thus enable you to think soberly and creatively. In fact, as you do certain physical practices, such as playing a certain game, and you realize that you have succeeded in a certain aspect of that game by applying a new idea, you are bound to develop confidence in generating new ideas and applying them even in other areas. Therefore, through physical exercises, you are also able to improve on your level of creative thinking. Number 17, you should also set a time within your daily schedule for creativity. Remember that whatever you are doing now can become irrelevant tomorrow if you are not creative enough to be prepared to take it to the next level. In fact, coming up with new ideas and implementing them is a great intrinsic motivation that encourages one to love what he or she is doing with great passion. This is because even if you seem productive in what you do, that status can change anytime due to other unexpected circumstances, and the only aspect that can keep you going is creativity. For this reason, always create some time each day to develop your creative talents and practice new ways of doing what you love. In addition, use this time to carry out other creative thinking activities such as meditation, playing a game, amongst other such activities. However, even if it is not possible to do this on a daily basis, you can still schedule some time of the week for this task. Number 18, be keeping a creativity journal which can simply be a pocket notebook or a journal in which you record any new idea that come into mind, or what we call fleeting thoughts, whenever and wherever you are and at whatever time, including when asleep. In addition, be using this journal to track your progress in any of the creative areas or ideas that you are implementing, as well as reflecting on what you have been able to do or accomplish and what you are still yet to initiate. For this reason, you should never walk anywhere without a pen and a notebook, including keeping them next to you while asleep, because a new idea can come in your mind anytime, including while asleep, and the sooner you capture it, the better, because it might just disappear. After all, it is by implementing such ideas that great things can happen in your life, as well as change your life positively. For this reason, you should start a creativity journal. Make sure that you carry it wherever you go and be using it for reference whenever needed. Number 19 is that you can also try to venture into areas from where you least expect to get answers to your problems and pursuing less obvious lines of reasoning. You can do this by trying to reverse a problem and look at it differently. You thus reframe your situation and your problem to look at it from a different angle and a different perspective that deviates from the common perspective, but one that is closely related to the most prevalent one. This is because sometimes the answer that you may be looking for may not be found at your common point of focus, but just besides it. Therefore, you exercise lateral thinking by avoiding thinking about the obvious approaches that seem to be the main sources for what you are looking for, and you focus your attention on the least areas or opinions from where the chances of getting what you are looking for would ordinarily be minimal. For this reason, you can be pursuing the alternative paths to an issue or lines of thought that ordinarily seem not to bring forth any solutions to the existing challenge. By so doing, you are able to improve the scope of your creative thinking. Number 20, whenever you have an idea about something, you can be putting it down on a large piece of paper in an organized format, commencing with the key issue or topic. Then you include all the other possible solutions, their consequences, and their best courses of action. Then once you are through with writing all of them, you proceed to connecting all those ideas that are related, thus forming what we call a mind map. By so doing, you are able to see the connections between your ideas, and you are able to arrive at appropriate solutions and conclusions. Therefore, through organization of your ideas on a piece of paper and connecting all those aspects that are related, you are able to arrive at great ideas, thus improving on your creative thinking. In conclusion, always challenge yourself to think differently, behave differently, and do things differently, because you are a unique person from the rest who should exercise independence in actions, ideas, and thoughts while solving problems and handling situations. For this reason, you should always strive to come up with new ways and new ideas to solve any problems or handle challenges that you or others may experience for the sake of making this world a better place than you found it. Resist practicing the norm if it cannot bring expected results by deviating from the ordinary in order to make the extraordinary become ordinary through creative thinking. I repeat, resist practicing the norm if it cannot bring expected results by deviating from the ordinary in order to make the extraordinary become ordinary through creative thinking. Congratulations, my dear viewers and my dear listeners, for listening to this video on creative thinking. To easily access more life skills, motivational and inspirational resources from this EMELISWAP Life Skills YouTube channel, click on subscribe button below this video if it's not currently reading as subscribed. You can also access various free resources in ICT or computer field by searching for and subscribing to EMELISWAP ICT YouTube channel if it will not be already reading as subscribed. For any further suggestions, corrections, or queries in relation to this video and others posted in any of the two YouTube channels that I have already mentioned, that is EMELISWAP Life Skills and EMELISWAP ICT, feel free to write it to us through the email emeliswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me, and God bless.